How you doing, guys? How you going?
You're just going to come out this way for us? Breach of the peace, we're going to move you on.
Under what section? Under what section? He's saying for breach of the peace, under what section am I being removed? I've asked you. Under common law? I'm here with a federal government approved, accredited. Two of my cameramen have the same accreditation because you don't want to be recorded. You remember how that happened?
Welcome back to the LackLuster channel. Today's story comes from Avi Yemini, a prominent YouTuber and journalist for Rebel News. On January 26, 2021, Daniel Andrews, the current Premier of Australia, shut down the Australia Day Parade, but allowed the Invasion Day rally to be held in its place.
How you going, brother? Are you alright? Are you here to protest?
I'm here to spread the love. You know what we should do? We should have this during the week. We should affect businesses. And when you affect businesses and productivity, you're not allowing them to buy their new boat or their new house. And then people listen. Once you affect their pocket, everyone's at home smoking bongs, having beers. Nobody gives a f***. People that give a f***, they already gave a f*** and they're here.
Australia Day is much like the 4th of July, where citizens reflect on Australian history, official community awards are acknowledged, and citizenship ceremonies welcome new members of the Australian community. The Invasion Day rally is a protest for those that oppose the perceived injustices to the Indigenous people of Australia, and after interviewing a few willing participants, he was swarmed by police officers.
That was good, right? How you doing, guys? How you going?
You're just going to come out this way for us?
Yeah, am I under arrest?
Breach of the peace, we'll just go this way.
So am I under arrest?
Breach of the peace, we're going to move you on.
Under what section?
Breach of the peace.
Under what section? Under what section is that? Under what section? Under what section?
Avi is given an order to move on, and breach of the peace is mentioned many times. But based on recent lockdown restrictions, as press, Avi was one of the few people legally allowed to be there. The police claim that it's easier to arrest and remove one person for their safety than to control a belligerent crowd. But when compared to the way other journalists are treated when the crowd turns on them, the difference is staggering.
Avi, you're not breaching the peace. Go.
Breach of the peace?
Tell the truth! Tell the truth! Well, imagine my shock there, eh? They didn't arrest Cassie Zervos from Channel 7 for breach of the peace. They stepped in to protect her, which is exactly what they should do for every journalist, including me.
But that isn't what happened, and Avi has already filed suit for two similar incidents from January and September of 2020. He was released without charges each time, and claims that after one event, police arrived at his home and informed him that he had been put on a list and that police were watching him. He was told that his arrests and imprisonment was necessary for his own safety and protection from protesters. But as we covered earlier, his presence was lawful, and in this encounter, the officers dance around the word arrest, even though it's exactly what they did, leaving to question whether the actions of the state are for his protection or to censor his speech.
So, I'm being arrested. I've asked if I'm under arrest a couple times, and I'm being forcibly ejected. I've got my national media press card, which is issued, the accreditation issued by the federal government. So right now, a journalist is being physically removed from doing his job, from reporting on the streets of Melbourne.
Much like the United States Constitution, the Australian Constitution doesn't cover many of the rights of the Australian people. In contrast, the Australian Constitution does not include a Bill of Rights. The United States Bill of Rights grants that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of press. To date, there are no specific US government institutions that issue press passes. Most news organizations create their own for their own members. Some events or secured locations may produce passes for journalists they've allowed in, and even some law enforcement agencies have issued press passes to allow journalists to cross police or fire lines. But generally speaking, in America, when in public, at a public event, anyone with a means of distributing information to the public is press. While it isn't a Supreme Court case, United States v. Hastings is a landmark freedom of the press case from the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, finding that the press generally has no right to information superior to that of the general public. This ruling was similar to Lambert v. Polk County, which held that it's not just news organizations who have First Amendment rights. Compared to Australia, citizens have 5 fundamental freedoms: the freedom of speech, association, assembly, religion, and movement. Unfortunately, Australian law does not provide clear protections for freedom of the press. Australia remains the only democratic nation without constitutional or statutory protections of human rights at the national level, and press passes are issued by the Department of Home Affairs, a section of the Australian federal government. Avi works for Rebel News and had all of his permits and papers in order, but the police targeted him regardless of being an accredited journalist, and again, the only legal person at the rally.
He's saying for breach of the peace, under what section am I being removed? I've asked you. Under common law? Yep. So they say this time they're removing me under common law for breach of the peace. How was I breaching the peace, can I ask? Can I ask how I was breaching the peace there? How was I breaching the peace? No? How come you guys allowed this protest to happen? The last 6 months, Victoria Police have violently arrested everybody who's attended protests, besides for one other protest, Black Lives Matter. Do you see this? Do you sense the theme? That there's only one topic you can protest legally in Victoria now. Is that the sergeant? How you doing, sir? Who's the commanding officer here? Am I under arrest or can I go? Am I under arrest?
Being detained.
Am I under arrest? No. Am I under arrest?
Be removed.
Am I under arrest?
Just waiting for transport to have you removed.
Am I under arrest?
At this point, you're being detained for the breach of the peace.
No. It's a simple question. If I'm not under arrest, I can go. Am I under arrest?
You cannot go.
I'm under arrest if I'm not free to go. If I'm not free...
Detained because you were breaching the peace.
How was I breaching the peace? And I'm either under arrest or I'm not. If I'm not free to go... Well, detained, if you're not free to go, you're under arrest.
Okay. If that's your interpretation.
I'm under arrest. So I want to be clear, we're under arrest here. Under breach of the peace. How did I breach the peace? How did I breach the peace? It's not a complicated question. How did I breach the peace today? I'm here with a federal government approved, accredited. 2 of my cameramen have the same accreditation. We have licensed security, so last year you claimed it was for my own protection. Can't have any of that today, can we? This is the state of Victoria. This is Victoria Police. You know, we used to joke about the Communist Party. You know, a year ago we were laughing at the Communist Party for behaving like this. And it's become the state of Victoria. You may not see any difference. They allege I'm breaching the peace. They don't say how. I've asked them.
We had a number of members of the public come to us and say that you were antagonising the crowd with what you were saying.
So do you have any evidence that I've been doing that?
What were you saying?
I'm interviewing. That's my job.
About what?
I'm interviewing about why they're here. Have you arrested other journalists here for breaching the peace?
No.
Or is it just people that they don't like?
We've arrested you. We've detained you.
Okay, let me ask you, if the Prime Minister came here and they don't like the... What?
That's all I'm going to say to you.
So if the Prime Minister came here and they don't like the Prime Minister, will you remove him for breach of the peace because you got a number of complaints? Or is it just me? Thought so.
About 10 minutes into the encounter, a paddy wagon arrives to remove the only lawful person at the event.
You know, we're going to take you away, okay?
But how did I breach the peace?
Here you go.
They remove my mic and they proceed to body search and pat down, you know, because I'm allegedly not under arrest, just getting kidnapped, I guess.
Avi is searched, but they miss his lav mic.
For recording devices, because you don't want to be recorded. You remember how that happened?
What have you got on the back?
In the back.
So, guys, this, like, I don't want to go, so they're going to have to physically take me. You can see here, it's against my will. You can see here, guys, it's against my will. You can see here, I'm getting forced and pushed in the back. I'm right now in the back of a police car. I've been arrested.
He was driven about 30 minutes away from the event and dumped into another part of town.
Hey mate.
So what is it? Am I being charged?
Not that I know of, no.
So
It's registered transport, man.
So I'm just taken off the street. Victoria Police picked a journalist out of a crowd, chucked him in the back of this.
Got all your stuff?
No charges. Thanks, guys, and dropped me randomly to stop me from reporting the truth.
Avi was released without charges, but by the time he was picked up by his crew and returned to the Invasion Day protest, it was over, and his ability to report on the rally was squashed by the state of Victoria, an egregious violation of civil rights. Avi already has 2 lawsuits in the Supreme Court, but again he is going to file suit against the state of Victoria, in hopes to secure their right to free press. If you wish to help, links to his website will be down below, as well as his YouTube channel and all videos used in this production.
With your help at standwithavi.com, we're going to file something much bigger and finally put an end to this madness. So please support my fight at standwithavi.com right now.
If you head over there, let them know that I sent you. If you have an incident you'd like me to review, email it, submit it through my website, or through Facebook Messenger. All links are down below. That concludes our video for today. Please subscribe and turn on all notifications so you never miss a video. If you're old here, like, share, comment down below what you think of this interaction, and consider a channel membership or merch to further support the channel. If you have an incident you'd like us to review, link it down below or contact us through the social media platforms linked in the description.